What happens when one of the biggest pop stars in the world sits down for what should be a routine interview and ends up in the most explosive confrontation in daytime television history? What you're about to hear will shock you because Jennifer Lopez, the woman who's conquered music, movies, and business, found herself face to face with a host who seemed determined to tear her down from the very first question. This isn't just another celebrity interview gone wrong. This is a masterclass in how personal grudges can turn a simple conversation into an all-out war. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment because you're going to want to discuss this wild ride. The ABC studios in New York were buzzing with their usual energy as The View prepared for another episode. Jennifer Lopez had agreed to appear on the show to promote her latest project, a decision that would prove to be one of the most regrettable of her career. The makeup artists had finished their work. The lighting was perfect, and the audience was settled in their seats, completely unaware that they were about to witness television history in the making. As Jennifer took her place on the iconic couch, she flashed that million-dollar smile that had captivated audiences for decades. She was wearing a stunning cream-colored blazer that complemented her glowing complexion. Her hair styled in loose waves that caught the studio lights perfectly. Everything seemed normal as the show's theme music played and the cameras rolled. "Welcome back to The View," announced Whoopi Goldberg with her characteristic warmth. "We're here with the incredible Jennifer Lopez, who's got so much going on right now." "Jennifer, thank you for being here." "Thank you for having me," Jennifer replied, her voice carrying that familiar confidence that had made her a household name. "I'm excited to be here with you ladies." The other hosts, Sarah Haynes and Sunani Host, offered their warm welcomes. But there was something different about Joy Behar's demeanor. While the others seemed genuinely pleased to have Jennifer on the show, Joy sat with her arms crossed, a tight smile that didn't quite reach her eyes and an energy that felt distinctly cold. "So, Jennifer," Joy began, her voice carrying an edge that immediately shifted the atmosphere in the studio. "Let's talk about your new project. But first, I have to ask, how do you manage to stay relevant after all these years? I mean, it's got to be exhausting constantly reinventing yourself to keep up with the younger generation." The question hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Jennifer's smile faltered for just a moment, but she quickly recovered, though everyone in the studio could feel the tension that had suddenly filled the room. "Well, Joy," Jennifer responded, her voice steady, but with a hint of steel. "I think staying relevant isn't about keeping up with anyone else. It's about staying true to who you are and continuing to grow as an artist and as a person. I've been fortunate to have a career that's allowed me to explore different aspects of my creativity. But don't you think," Joy continued, leaning forward with what could only be described as a predatory gleam in her eyes, "that at some point you have to accept that your time might be up? I mean, how many comebacks can one person have before it becomes, well, a little desperate?" The studio fell silent. Even the cameramen seemed to hold their breath. Whoopi shifted uncomfortably in her seat while Sarah and Sunny exchanged worried glances. This wasn't the friendly interview they had all expected. Jennifer's posture straightened and for the first time, viewers could see the fire that had fueled her rise to superstardom. "I'm sorry, Joy, but I don't think I understand what you're implying. Are you suggesting that my continued success is somehow desperate? Because I have to tell you, that's not how I see it at all." "Oh, come on, Jennifer," Joy said with a dismissive wave of her hand. "Let's be real here. You've been in the business for what, 30 years? And every few years, there's another Jennifer Lopez comeback story. Don't you think it's time to maybe step back and let the next generation have their moment?" The audience began to murmur, sensing that something was going very wrong. Jennifer's eyes flashed with anger, but she maintained her composure, though everyone could see she was fighting to keep her temper in check. "Joy, I have to say I'm really surprised by your line of questioning," Jennifer said, her voice growing stronger. "I came here to talk about my work, my passion, and my projects. I didn't come here to be told that I should retire, or that my career is somehow illegitimate." "Well, maybe that's the problem," Joy shot back, her voice rising slightly. "Maybe you're so used to everyone kissing your feet that you can't handle a little honest criticism. This is The View, Jennifer. We ask the tough questions here." Whoopi tried to intervene. "Joy, maybe we should No, whoopee. Joy interrupted, her attention still fixed on Jennifer like a laser beam. I think our audience deserves to hear some truth. Jennifer, let's talk about your personal life. How many engagements have you had now? 5, 6. Don't you think there's a pattern here that maybe you should address? The studio erupted in shocked gasps. Jennifer's face went pale, then flushed with anger. She had been prepared for tough questions about her career, but this personal attack was beyond anything she had expected. Excuse me. Jennifer's voice was deadly quiet now. The kind of quiet that comes before a storm. What exactly does my personal life have to do with my professional work? And more importantly, what gives you the right to sit here and judge my relationships? I'm not judging, Joy said with mock innocence. I'm just asking questions that I think people want to know about. You put your personal life in the public eye, so it's fair game. Fair game. Jennifer's voice rose for the first time. Fair game, Joy. You're being incredibly disrespectful right now. I've been nothing but gracious since I sat down, and you've done nothing but attack me personally and professionally. The other hosts were now looking extremely uncomfortable. Sarah tried to change the subject. Jennifer, let's talk about your upcoming. No, Sarah, Jennifer interrupted, her eyes still locked on Joy. I want to address this. Joy, I don't know what your problem is with me, but this isn't journalism. This is a personal attack, and I'm not going to sit here and take it. Joy leaned back in her chair with a smirk that made it clear she was enjoying every moment of Jennifer's discomfort. Oh, so now I'm the bad guy because I'm asking you real questions instead of lobbing you softballs. That's rich, Jennifer. That's really rich. You know what's rich. Jennifer stood up from the couch, her voice now carrying the full force of her anger. What's rich is a woman who's built her career on tearing other women down, sitting here and trying to humiliate me on national television. What's rich is someone who claims to be a feminist attacking another woman for having the audacity to continue working and being successful. The studio was in chaos now. The audience was buzzing with excitement and shock. The other hosts were trying to regain control and the cameras were capturing every moment of the unfolding drama. How dare you? Joy said, rising from her own chair, her face red with anger. How dare you come on my show and lecture me about feminism? You want to talk about tearing women down? Let's talk about how you've built your career on your looks instead of your talent. The words hit Jennifer like a physical blow. For a moment, she seemed stunned into silence. And then something changed in her expression. The hurt was replaced by a cold, steely determination that anyone who had followed her career would recognize. This was the woman who had fought her way out of the Bronx, who had conquered Hollywood against all odds, who had built an empire from nothing. You know what, Joy? Jennifer's voice was calm now, but there was a dangerous edge to it that made everyone in the studio lean forward. I've heard a lot of things about me over the years. I've been called a diva. I've been called difficult. I've been called a lot of things, but I've never ever been called untalented by someone who actually knows what they're talking about. The silence that followed Jennifer's words was deafening. Joy's face had gone from red to almost purple, and her hands were visibly shaking with rage. The other host sat frozen, unsure of how to handle a situation that had spiraled completely out of control. Untalented. Joy's voice was a whisper that somehow carried more menace than if she had been shouting. You want to talk about talent? Let's talk about how you've lip-synced your way through half your career. Let's talk about how you've used your relationships to get movie roles. Let's talk about how you've built your brand on being a fantasy for men instead of actually having something meaningful to say. The audience gasped audibly. Even for The View, known for its heated discussions, this was beyond anything they had ever witnessed. Jennifer's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, it looked like she might actually walk off the set right then and there. You know what, Joy? Jennifer's voice was ice cold now. I've tried to be respectful. I've tried to take the high road, but you want to go there. Let's go there. You want to talk about using relationships. Let's talk about how you've spent your entire career riding on other people's coattails. Let's talk about how you've never created anything original in your life. How dare you? Joy spat, stepping closer to Jennifer. I've been in this business longer than you've been alive. I've earned my place here. Earned your place. Jennifer laughed. But there was no humor in it. Earned your place by what? By being bitter. By tearing down women who have actually accomplished something. By sitting behind this desk and throwing stones at people who are actually out there taking risks and creating art. Whoopi finally managed to find her voice. Ladies, please, let's take a step back here. This is getting out of hand. No, Whoopi, Jennifer said, her eyes never leaving Joy's face. This needed to be said. I've sat here and listened to this woman attack my career, my personal life, my talent, and my character. And for what? What did I do to deserve this kind of treatment? You exist, Joy said with venom. You exist in a space that should belong to people with actual talent. You exist and take opportunities away from artists who actually deserve them. The studio erupted. The audience was on their feet, some shouting support for Jennifer, others seeming to enjoy the spectacle. The cameramen were frantically adjusting their angles to capture every moment of the unprecedented confrontation. Artists who deserve them. Jennifer's voice rose above the chaos. Joy, when was the last time you created anything? When was the last time you put yourself out there and actually risked something? You sit here every day and judge people who are actually living their lives, actually taking chances, actually making things happen. I don't have to justify my career to you. Joy shot back. I've been successful longer than you've been relevant. Successful at what? Jennifer demanded. Successful at being negative. Successful at being a bully. Because that's what you are, Joy. You're a bully who hides behind this desk and pretends that tearing other people down is somehow journalism. Joy's face was now a mask of pure rage. You want to call me a bully? Let's talk about bullying. Let's talk about how you've bullied your way through Hollywood, demanding special treatment, throwing tantrums when you don't get your way. Tantrums. Jennifer laughed again. And this time, there was genuine amusement in it. Joy, you're literally having a tantrum right now. You're on national television having a complete meltdown because a guest dared to stand up to you. I am not having a meltdown. Joy screamed, proving Jennifer's point perfectly. I am trying to conduct an interview and you're being difficult and defensive. Difficult and defensive. Jennifer shook her head in disbelief. Joy, you started this interview by telling me I was desperate and irrelevant. You attacked my personal relationships. You questioned my talent. You've done everything possible to humiliate me. And now you're upset because I'm not just sitting here and taking it. Sarah Haynes made another attempt to intervene. Maybe we should go to commercial. And no, Joy interrupted, her voice sharp. We're not going to commercial. Jennifer Lopez came on this show and she's going to answer for her behavior. Answer for my behavior. Jennifer's voice was incredulous. Joy, you're the one who needs to answer for your behavior. You've been unprofessional. You've been disrespectful. And you've been cruel. And for what? What did I ever do to you? You represent everything that's wrong with this industry. Joy said, her voice dripping with contempt. You're all flash and no substance. You're all image and no authenticity. You're everything that's fake about Hollywood. The words hung in the air like a gauntlet thrown down. Jennifer stood perfectly still for a moment and then something shifted in her expression. The anger was still there, but now it was joined by something else. Something that looked almost like pity. You know what, Joy? Jennifer's voice was calm again. But there was a finality to it that made everyone in the studio lean forward. I feel sorry for you. I really do, because you're so bitter, so angry, so jealous of what other people have accomplished that you can't see anything good in anyone. I am not jealous of you, Joyce snarled. Trust me, there is nothing about your life that I would want. Then why are you so angry? Jennifer asked quietly. Why are you so determined to tear me down? Why can't you just ask me about my work like a professional? Because your work isn't worth discussing, Joy said, and the cruelty in her voice was unmistakable. Your work is manufactured, processed, focus-grouped garbage that contributes nothing to the world except noise. The audience gasped again, but this time, Jennifer didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled. And it was a smile that carried decades of experience dealing with critics, haters, and people who underestimated her. You know what, Joy? You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to hate my music, hate my movies, hate everything I've ever done, but you're not entitled to be cruel. You're not entitled to be unprofessional. And you're certainly not entitled to attack me personally on national television. I'll say whatever I want, Joy said, her voice rising again. This is my show. These are my questions. And if you don't like it, you can leave. The challenge was clear, and everyone in the studio held their breath. This was the moment of truth. Would Jennifer Lopez back down or would she stand her ground? Jennifer looked around the studio, taking in the shocked faces of the other hosts, the wide-eyed audience, the cameras. Capturing every moment. Then she looked back at Joy, and when she spoke, her voice carried a quiet dignity that made Joy's ranting seem even more unhinged by comparison. You know what, Joy? You're right. I can leave. But before I do, I want to say something to your audience. She turned to face the cameras directly. I've been in this business for a long time, and I've faced a lot of criticism. Some of it fair, some of it unfair. But I've never encountered anything quite like what I've experienced here today. Joy tried to interrupt, but Jennifer held up a hand. No, Joy, you've had your say. Now it's my turn. To everyone watching, I want you to know that what you've witnessed here today isn't journalism. It isn't tough questioning. It's a personal attack disguised as an interview, and I won't be part of it anymore. The studio fell silent as Jennifer picked up her purse from beside the couch. But Joy wasn't finished yet. Oh, no you don't. Joy's voice cut through the silence like a knife. You don't get to come on my show. Insult me, and then walk away acting like you're the victim here. Jennifer stopped mid-step, her hand still on her purse. The entire studio seemed to hold its breath as she slowly turned back to face Joy. The look on her face was unlike anything anyone had ever seen from the usually composed superstar. Excuse me. Jennifer's voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried more power than if she had been shouting. You heard me, Joy said, emboldened by what she mistook for Jennifer's hesitation. You came here with an attitude from the moment you sat down. You've been defensive. You've been rude. And now you're trying to make me look like the bad guy. The other hosts were frantically making cutting motions with their hands, trying to signal to Joy to stop, but she was beyond reasoning with now. The confrontation had taken on a life of its own. Joy, Whoopi said desperately. Maybe we should. No, Whoopi, Joy interrupted again, her eyes blazing with fury. I'm tired of celebrities coming on this show thinking they can control the narrative. This is The View, not some fluff entertainment show. We ask real questions here. Jennifer slowly walked back toward the couch, but she didn't sit down. Instead, she stood directly in front of Joy, and when she spoke, her voice was steady and clear. Joy, I've been in this business for over 25 years. I've been interviewed by journalists from every major publication in the world. I've been on talk shows, news programs, and award shows. I've faced tough questions about my career, my personal life, and my decisions. But what you did here today wasn't journalism. It was cruelty. Cruelty. Joy laughed. But it was a harsh, bitter sound. You want to talk about cruelty? Let's talk about how you've stolen opportunities from more deserving artists. Let's talk about how you've used your looks and your connections to get ahead instead of your talent. Joy, stop. Sunani host finally found her voice. This has gone too far. No, it hasn't gone far enough. Joy said, rising from her chair again. Jennifer Lopez has been coasting on her image for years, and someone needs to call her out on it. Jennifer's composure finally cracked. Coasting. Joy, do you have any idea what I've been through to get where I am? Do you have any idea what it's like to be a Latina woman in an industry that constantly tells you that you're not good enough, not white enough, not thin enough, not anything enough? Oh, please, Joyce scoffed. Don't give me the victim speech. You've been privileged your entire career. Privileged. Jennifer's voice rose. Joy, I grew up in the Bronx. I worked as a backup dancer. I auditioned for hundreds of roles and got rejected constantly. I built my career from nothing. And I did it while people like you sat on the sidelines telling me I didn't deserve it. People like me. Joy's voice was dangerous. Now, what exactly do you mean by that? I mean people who tear others down instead of building them up. People who think that being negative and critical makes them smart. People who have never put themselves on the line the way artists do every single day. Joy's face was now a mask of pure hatred. You want to talk about putting yourself on the line? Let's talk about your last 3 movies. Let's talk about your last album. Let's talk about how you keep trying to recapture your glory days and failing every time. The words hit Jennifer like physical blows, but instead of backing down, she stepped closer to Joy. You know what, Joy? You're right. I have had failures. I've made movies that didn't do well. I've released songs that didn't chart. But at least I tried. At least I put myself out there. At least I didn't spend my career hiding behind a desk, playing it safe while criticizing people who actually take risks. How dare you? Joy hissed. I've been successful in this business longer than you've been alive. Successful at what? Jennifer demanded. Successful at being bitter. Successful at being jealous. Joy, look at yourself right now. Look at what you're doing. You're on national television having a complete breakdown because a guest dared to stand up to your bullying. I am not bullying anyone, Joyce screamed, completely losing control now. I am asking legitimate questions about your career and your choices. Legitimate questions. Jennifer's voice was incredulous. Joy, you asked me if I thought it was time to retire. You attacked my personal relationships. You questioned my talent. You've done everything possible to humiliate me on national television. If that's not bullying, what is? The studio was in complete chaos now. The audience was on their feet, some shouting support for Jennifer, others seeming to enjoy the spectacle. The other hosts had given up trying to control the situation and were just watching in stunned silence. You know what? Joy's voice cut through the noise. I'm done pretending to be polite. You want to know what I really think? I think you're a talentless hack who's fooled the world into thinking you're some kind of artist. I think you're a manufactured product who's never had an original thought in your life. The studio fell silent. Even the audience seemed shocked by the viciousness of Joy's words. Jennifer stood perfectly still for a moment and then something remarkable happened. Instead of responding with anger, she smiled. Thank you, Joy, she said quietly. Thank you. Joy was confused by the response. Thank you for showing everyone exactly who you are. Thank you for proving my point about bullying. Thank you for demonstrating that you're not a journalist or a professional. You're just a bitter woman who gets her kicks from trying to destroy other people. Joy's face went white with rage. Get out, she said, her voice shaking. Get out of my studio right now. Your studio. Jennifer laughed. And for the first time all day, it was genuine laughter. Joy, this isn't your studio. This is ABC's studio. You're just an employee here, just like everyone else. Security. Joy screamed. Get security in here right now. Jennifer held up her hand. Don't bother. I'm leaving on my own, but not because you're telling me to. I'm leaving because I have too much respect for myself to stay in a place where I'm being treated like this. She turned to the cameras one final time. To everyone watching, I want you to remember what you saw here today. I want you to remember that standing up to bullies is always the right thing to do, even when it's uncomfortable. I want you to remember that nobody has the right to try to destroy you just because they can. Joy made one last desperate attempt to maintain control. You're the one who's been destructive here. You're the one who's been difficult and unprofessional. Jennifer turned back to her and the look on her face was one of pure pity. Joy, I hope someday you find whatever it is you're looking for. I hope someday you find a way to be happy without tearing other people down. But until then, I won't be part of your negativity. She picked up her purse and walked toward the exit, her head held high. But Joy couldn't let it end there. Don't you dare walk away from me, Joy shouted. Don't you dare act like you're better than me. Jennifer paused at the edge of the set and looked back one final time. I'm not better than you, Joy. I'm just different. I choose to build instead of destroy. I choose to create instead of criticize. I choose to lift people up instead of tear them down. That's the difference between us. And with that, Jennifer Lopez walked off the View set, leaving behind a studio in chaos and a host who had revealed herself to be everything she had accused Jennifer of being. The cameras kept rolling as Joy stood there, her face a mixture of rage and something that might have been shame, finally understanding that she had gone too far. The audience was stunned into silence. The other host sat in shock, and somewhere in the control room, producers were probably having heart attacks. But Jennifer Lopez walked out of that studio with her dignity intact, having shown the world exactly how to handle a bully with grace, strength, and unshakable self-respect. So, there you have it. One of the most explosive confrontations in television history. What do you think? Did Jennifer Lopez handle this situation the right way, or should she have walked away sooner? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories like this.